Let's all welcome back Mr. Gorka to the MCC. Give him a round of applause. Thanks, man.
Thank you very much. Maybe I should introduce myself for those people who don't know me. My name's Carl, and I emigrated from England about 9 years ago. Okay, to Australia. I had a bit of a fluke in as much as I turned up in Australia. I had no way of getting a job because my skills from England were hopeless when I came over here. I was a circus performer in England. So when I came over here, there wasn't much in the way of work for me.
And they actually let you in the country then?
Yeah, my wife's a nurse, so I got it. I was like catching the back of a ride off my wife. So.
Okay.
And then I didn't know what to do, so I went scouting around at the job agencies one day, and I came into the CBD. I thought, oh, I'll check out that library in town. So I went to the State Library, and I was looking at all the books going, wow, there's a lot of books about chess. And I got a tap on the shoulder, and this guy said, you're that English guy that's just turned over, have you got a FIDE rating? And I went, yeah. And he said, do you want to play in a tournament? I went, well, okay, whatever. He said, cool, it's at the MCC Australian Masters 2005. So I turned up here, that guy was Guy West, okay, and he's like tapped me on the shoulder and said, can you play? Because they needed a foreign player. I turned up here, and in the first round, I played this really, really long game against this very boring player called Peter Froelich, who now lives up in Queensland. And we played on and on and on and on and on. And in the end, I lost a bishop ending to him, okay? And then in the second round, I played against this guy called Chris Di Pasquale, and I sacrificed the bishop. He should have won, but he missed some saving resource, I ended up beating him. After that, Chris Di Pasquale said, I was standing outside the front door, and he said to me, I can't do a Chris Di Pasquale voice, but we'll give it a go, because he's very nasal when he speaks, and it's like, you staying here for a whole time? And I'm like, well, yeah, for the whole time pretty much. And he goes, you want a job? And I went, doing what? He said, coaching chess. And I went, yeah, okay, I'll give it a go. He said, you ever done it before? And I went, well, sort of like in chess clubs, like this sort of thing, with some juniors in England. And he said, anyone any good? And I was like, rattling off some sort of players who are now 22, 23, 2400. But when I was coaching them, they weren't anywhere near that good. And so for the last 10 years I've been a coach. The last 9 years I've been a coach in this country working for Chess Kids, or his company was Chess World, okay? So we work out, mostly down in the south, but I've got lots and lots of experience of coaching kids like this, okay? We are getting a little bit better and we're working with some slightly older kids and some slightly better kids. Today I'm going to talk about some things that we talk about with the kids, okay? Because I reckon it's transferable to adults. So have a look at this position, all right?
Can I just ask, what did you do in the circus?
In the circus, I was a fire eater and juggler.
Wow. How many balls can you juggle?
7.
Really?
Yeah.
I can juggle 5.
Can you?
You in the circus too?
I appreciate how hard 7 is.
You should have a juggle on.
Daniel, whenever came into tournaments, you turned into soccer seven without juggling.
Actually, in the back of my car, I've got some cigarette boxes that I'm trying to learn at the moment, cigar boxes.
Ah, yeah.
So I'm trying to learn that sort of stuff at the moment. So that's what I'm messing around doing. Okay? Have a look at this position. Alright? Have a look at it, and what do we reckon is a good sort of plan or a good way of thinking about this position? What would you be thinking about in this sort of position?
Am I white or black?
Who do you want to be?
I'd rather be white.
Okay. So what do you want to do then? I'll tell you what, it's black's move, so maybe that'll give you a clue. So what do you think?
Isn't it a draw by best play?
What's best play? You tell me.
If 2 grandmasters were playing each other, would it be a draw?
Well, this was 2 grandmasters play, but white won the game.
Oh,
Well, maybe the grandmasters didn't play best play.
So
What I want to know is what you are thinking. If you're thinking that's a draw by, that's a theoretical draw, cool, then you're probably not thinking the right thing, are you?
no,
What's the point now?
you want to get
What's the pawn up? That's good
white
stuff.
wants to get its king over to near the pawn to stop black's king getting near it.
To stop the king getting here.
But you're looking for a move for white, right?
Well, it's actually black's move. So I just want to know what I'm thinking, to be fair.
So Black's going to move his king to D5.
Black's going to move his king to D5.
Is that right? Oh no, hang on. Sorry, lose the pawn.
If I'm white, I want to make black give up his rook to stop that. a pile of pawns. That I'd be looking for a way to make him.
And this black's moved.
Oh,
Really
just
secure.
throw in the top, the asymmetry.
So wouldn't white just want to try and push the pawn as much as possible to distract the king, and then
Distract the king,
the black king
distracted from doing what?
from being
Protecting
the
pawns.
FG and H5 pawns?
So white's going to get black's king to go. What if black's king doesn't go over? What if it just stays over where it is on that side?
Well,
Then-
white can try and do, if the rook's on A8 and the pawn's on A7, potentially white might be able to check the king.
But if he just plays, put his king on e7.
Yeah, well then he won't fall for that.
With the king.
Alright, let's take it from black's point of view. What if you were black? What would you be thinking in this position?
Don't fall for a cheapo.
Keep his king away from the helping with the pawn.
Rook a4.
So yeah, that would probably be my first thought.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Rook A4 to stop the king getting in.
Okay,
That makes sense.
and how, sort of like, we're looking one move deep and that's fine? Rook A4 is good.
Top, you know.
Rook A4 and then we'll worry about what happens afterwards.
No,
What do you
you
do
play
now?
rook a4 and then you see what white does and then you do something.
Okay, so
What would
we
you,
don't really know what's going on.
Come with a new plan.
what would you do, Michael? What would you do?
Rook F4. I agree with
Look
that.
at A4.
What about f6 or something? Is that?
Yes.
You want to create unnecessary rook. This is not the rook just
Yeah.
sitting there.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But what's the next move after Rook A4?
I'm not saying Rook A4 is the move, I just want to know what you're thinking, that's all.
Well, eventually to make progress, white's going to have to bring the king over, and then you can maybe attack the pawns.
Who can attack which pawns?
Well, black can, if white brings the king into the centre, black can start attacking the f pawn or g
Yeah,
pawn.
but he can't bring his king into the centre. If you play rook a4,
Oh, okay, well,
and then if he plays like king d3,
Then rook a2.
yeah. Okay, 2, king 3, rook
So
a4.
it's possible white to go rook a first and get his pawn pushed a bit further and then get to the 6 and once it comes to the 7 it's a draw.
Yeah.
Okay. We seem to be at a bit of a sort of a stop there, okay? The thinking processes that are in action are these thinking processes. They are, I could do that and he could do that and I could do that and he could do that and I could do that and he could do that. That's called a calculation process. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to calculate. The other sort of thinking process is, what am I trying to do in this position? I'm trying to do this, generally speaking, and then I'll calculate afterwards. I call that, some people call it a calculation process or creation of candidate moves. I just call it ideas against calculation. So the question is, in our games, do we need to calculate a long way down the line, or do we need just to come up with ideas? Which are we better at doing? So which do we need to improve upon, each and every one of us, to become a better chess player? Because you really need to calculate a long way, or be able to, but you also need to be able to work out the idea that's right in front of you as well. It's called looking deep versus looking wide. Okay? So you have to have a width of vision straight in front of you, but once you've chosen the best idea, you have to have a depth of vision to take that idea to a good place. Okay? So when you're thinking about your games, you might say, rook a4 straight away, and then you might try and calculate. He does that, I do that, he does that, I do that, he does that, I do that, he does that, I go there, his pawn goes up there, and what's happening? And then you've got to be able to visualise that. Or you might go, f6, that was another plan, and then we go f6, and then he does that, I do that, he does that, I can't work out what's going on there. Our calculation needs to be as long as we can make it, and some players are really good at that. They can see down the line straight away, and they can look 10, 12 moves down accurately, and try and judge that. Actually, I'm not one of those players, unfortunately. Okay, my calculation lets me down. So when I lose games, it's generally down to my calculation skills at the level I'm at. I'm pretty good at seeing ideas. Okay, so I'm listening to your ideas, and generally speaking, they're pretty good for this sort of position. So I reckon that we're all in the same boat. We're all sort of ideas people. I don't know, maybe Jack is a pretty good calculation person. Okay. So in this position here, F6 is the best move. F6. F6 is the best move. You've got the right idea. White wants to push his pawn up to the end of the board. Okay? He also wants to bring his king across to drive black's rook away. So his king's going to try and work his way up to somewhere like b7. He's going to drag his pawn up, and he's going to force black to give up the rook for the pawn. In the meantime, what black's got to do is he's got to make some inroads on the other side of the board to win some pawns. So eventually, we're going to get a position that looks something like this.
Why is rook a4 not the best move to cut off the king?
Well, what happened was, black in this game did a load of non-committal moves. He did like nothing moves. So he did moves like rook a4, and he just moved king f6 and back again like this and did nothing. Whereas what he should be doing is he should be trying to drive this down here, and actually while white's sort of moving his pieces over in this direction, he should be trying to win some pawns down this side, so that when the king's up here, and this rook's left the board, and we have this sort of position, there are no white pawns on the board, maybe there's one or two black pawns on the board, so there's maybe one, and this position would be like a draw, because the king and the rook can't stop this pawn from getting down to the end. So this rook would have to come back and sacrifice itself to stop that pawn from becoming a queen. Okay? So the idea is creating counterplay on this side straight away. If you sit and do nothing, okay, then you'll end up in a position where white's got exactly what he wants to do, but the other position on the other side of the board is more like this. So if you don't do anything, you'll get that sort of position where you still have to give up your rook, but essentially speaking, nothing's happened over this side. Maybe you won one pawn.
Isn't it possible for white to close the position?
No.
No?
No. Not and get his pawn to the end of the board. You can't do both.
So how does he actually bring his king in after rook a4 and stuff?
So what are we up to? We're up to this sort of position, aren't we? Okay. So we're in a position like that, yeah? So you're saying rook a4. Well, alright, so I just
Oh, his pawn's on
Pawn's up the
a5.
square.
On
pawn's here.
Yeah, pawn's there, yeah,
Okay, well,
yeah. Rook is up one, but
I'll just move my pawn.
you can just move it, okay.
So you just
King f6.
right, so I'll just move it.
King.
No, what?
King g7.
Why did the king go f6? Why aren't you gonna
We'll
avoid
just
it?
go here.
On a7.
Yep.
Okay, rook a1.
Okay. Oh, okay, yeah, I see what you mean. So, alright, so I'll just bring my, where's your rook here?
a4.
Alright, so I'll go over here.
Rook a2.
Okay.
If he moves his
Oh,
pawn
well,
up.
can't we just go over here or something? Can't we just do this?
Rook
Just get up
takes,
to the
rook
pawn.
takes f2.
Sorry?
Rook takes f2.
Okay, I guess.
And then if rook a2.
Just going in. So my king's just going to go
And if
at a guess. I don't know, I'm not really playing. I didn't really want to look at this position in too much detail because I've got a lot of others to look at. But just the way we're thinking about this position, we're thinking it in terms of ideas, okay, rather than in terms of calculation. If we know what the idea is that we should be doing, then we should be able to come up with a plan at least. So that's good. It's good that we did that. We came up with a plan to try and stop our opponent's king. We came up with a plan to try and create counterplay on this side. Both of them are viable plans. We don't really need to calculate in this sort of position, but there are positions that you do need to calculate. While I'm setting up another position, does anyone do tactical positions? Does anyone like solve loads of tactics?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Once upon a time, I did.
Not,
Once upon a time.
not very well.
Not very well. Alright, so
Unfortunately, never.
alright, I tell you what. What do you reckon? If you're solving tactics, Are you improving your calculation? So let's say you've got your tactics booked, I don't know, 5,065 tactical, tricky tactical puzzles or something, or whatever, okay? Are you improving your calculation, or are you improving your ideas?
I would be doing both.
Really?
Hopefully.
Well,
Depends how hard
sometimes
they are.
there's like ideas in the tactic or something like that. But
I mean, you should be going through your basic mating positions. You should have those almost memorized. Right?
So you're calculating if you know a position and you just go,
And then you will see that pattern on the board, should it appear.
okay,
And that should be just automatic, but
But sometimes you won't know the idea, and then when you see the solution, you'll learn the
yeah,
idea.
but you'll see a pattern and then you'll start calculating. So to me, they go together.
Yeah, it's both.
okay.
well,
So
I think what he's saying is
that's
an
a bit
idea is a bit more like general, not just like an idea of a tactic or something. Just
Well, no, I mean,
10 minutes down
tactics
the line.
are ideas. Let's have a look at this one and see if you can solve this one for me. It's white to play once I've got everything sorted out. So,
And win.
this. We need a bit of a queen somewhere. Actually, that should be a queen. Got a king somewhere else. Down here. Cool. So, the question is, in this, are we going to use deep calculation or not? That's what I'm trying to say. So, if we can get the idea right, then we probably won't really need to use calculation that's too deep. I don't think. We need another rook. Yeah, perfect. Okay?
Just white to move.
You're gonna have 6.
Yeah, it's white to move. Is that right? Yeah, perfect. So there you go. I need that one for you. Sorry? Yeah, he is.
probably.
Oh, resign then. Oh God, I'm down. Oh my God.
Well, let's see.
If we get the idea, I don't think we really have to calculate too deeply, but if we don't know the idea, then all the calculation in the world, as deep as you can calculate, is probably not going to help you.
Rook F1.
Rook F1.
Okay.
Bishop
What's
E5.
wrong? Yeah, what's wrong with Queen to E6?
There's an O and F8.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see the knight up there.
Bishop
It's
E5.
not.
Sorry?
Bishop E5 to bring the king in.
Bishop to E5. Okay, calculate that line and see what you think. Bishop to E5 we're looking at, by the way.
So king takes. EF.
No, I don't think so. If you play, okay, so king E5 and then
Bishop E5, King E5, yeah.
Bishop 5, King G6.
Right, King G6.
well, EF5.
King G6 EF. EF. Looks strong.
Knight F5. What's wrong with king E5? Like king takes?
Let's stick at one thing at a time, shall we? That's usually what people tend to do when they analyse. Okay? So we'll go with one. We'll go with Jack's king takes E5. So try and calculate down that line.
Okay, well, if queen F7, then maybe queen C5. King E6.
Isn't that like a force mate if you take on E5?
Force mate if he takes an E5. Can you enlighten us, please, Kerry? We're obviously calculating better than anybody else in the room.
Okay, king takes E5, then you got knight F3 check.
King F6.
Then rook D6 check.
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah.
And then knight E6, you take on E6 and it's mate.
True.
Alright, let's see that. Bishop here, king takes. Knight here, opens up the line for the rook. King goes back. Rook goes up. King's got no squares to go. So you've got to block. And queen takes. That wasn't difficult, was it?
Could have played King F4, but probably
No,
wouldn't
then
have.
But then taking an F5 on the queen.
We can look at some variations.
And you got queen H4 at the end of it.
Yeah, it probably is
We can look at some variations along the way. We can say, what if it goes to G6? What if it comes down to F4? What if it does that or that? But what we've really done here is we haven't really calculated too hard. It took Kerry like hardly any time at all. Once Dan came up and said, what about bishop E5? And we'll look at this check. So we're looking at it. We look at a couple of moves and all of a sudden it's solid. So are we really calculating that much here?
I think we are, because sometimes I can find the idea, but I'm actually calculating that. Like for example, I was looking at EF, so that would have been wrong.
Okay.
Well, usually just like moves like that probably are too slow when there's probably like force mate or something.
Yeah, I guess you always look at tempo moves first.
I think what we're doing really is we're finding ideas rather than calculating depth. I think when you're looking at tactical puzzles, especially mates, you're looking for a recognition of a pattern, or you're looking for, in tactics like this, some sort of move or some sort of idea which is slightly unusual in the position. Okay, so you're either looking for something that you recognise or something that you don't recognise. So you're actually coming up with an idea. Once you've found that key idea, it doesn't really take much effort to calculate. Well, it does for people like me who aren't very good at calculating, but Kerry over there was like, isn't it, mate? It's like, yeah, cool.
What about King G6?
Well, we could look at King G6 as well if we wanted to.
Taking that 5 was good. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then knight takes F5.
Knight takes F5.
Yeah, well, it's pretty strong.
But is it winning?
Yeah.
Is it?
It's force mate after bishop e5.
Is it?
Yeah.
So bishop E5, king G6.
Bishop E5.
So we're running away. Yeah. So what we want to do this, do we? Or are you going to calculate for us, Kerry?
No, I'll just take the pawn with check and then worry about it later.
Yeah, okay. Cool, that's pretty good. Alright, so what are we doing? Taking back? Or are we running further?
No, if knight takes
Take
queen D3.
What, are we losing the bishop?
Yeah. That's bad.
Probably.
Okay.
So knight takes. Knight F4.
Still takes the bishop, maybe?
What, knight here?
Yeah.
Take.
What does white do?
It's a good
Question.
question. Probably got some sort of knight C6 sort of
Knight takes F5.
G4 or something.
Knight takes f5, you're saying, but it might.
Yeah.
Knight e6, maybe?
No.
Was interesting.
Rook takes
No, knight takes
bishop.
What,
Then knight
Sorry?
takes. No, that's next.
So wait,
If knight takes knight, rook takes bishop.
rook D6. Maybe king F5.
It's probably good enough.
It's pretty hard to calculate.
No, I don't think it is.
You don't think it's...
I don't think it's good enough. I mean, knight F5, and then after rook E5.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Excellent. The point I'm trying to make is, these puzzles that we're doing aren't really what we would call calculation puzzles.
Really? But we still haven't figured it out.
Jack had just solved it now.
Has it? No, but didn't we say that knight takes knight was not forced?
Well, it isn't, Dan, but we could go through everything that isn't forced and look at everything. Okay? Essentially speaking, just trust me that this is a win for white after your fantastic bishop e5. And
Which I
just
still
like,
haven't
take
seen.
the laurels, okay? Because we've got a lot to go through, alright? And we're getting there already. I'll show you a calculation puzzle, alright? This is different to the one that I've just shown you. Here, once we got the idea, it was just a matter of there, oh, it's mine. Which is pretty much what Kerry did. It was a bit of a tough one, with a tough first key. Have a look at this, alright? This should test out your calculation skills, alright? So, I'm going to give you a position, alright? And you guys can try and work out, I'll give you a choice of 2 moves. You see, you don't need the idea in a calculation puzzle. All you need is a direction to go in, and then you try and calculate, okay? So that's what we're going to do now. So, what we've got pictures here. We've got double up rooks over on this side, and here. So this game was a pretty mad game. We've got a big chain of pawns over there. Okay, and knight for bishop. Oh, and he's got a knight pinned down here somewhere, I think. Is that right? Yeah. Alright, here you go. Here's a calculation puzzle for you. This is different to what we just did. So here, I'm not asking you to find a trick or an idea. I'm asking you to calculate down a line. Okay? So here's your choice of moves. You can either play, I'll tell you now, black's just doubled his rooks up. So you can either play rook to d3, protecting your pawn and protecting your knight laterally like that, or, and this is the line I want you to work on first, bishop takes a5, hitting the rook. So now you can calculate. This is just a position. The question is, who's going to be better at the end of the line? Bishop takes a5.
What?
Great, that was a fantastic calculation.
50-50.
How many moves deep do we go?
I don't know. I just said white.
Good.
I just thought bishop a5, rook b3, queen e6, king h8, and then rook f2 or something. No, then he plays rook f3, rook
Rook and
f3.
take b3.
But rook b3 is probably...
No, rook b3 I think works. After queen e6, king h8, and then if you play rook f2, play rook f3.
Wait, what are you saying? Bishop takes a5, rook takes b3, then
Yeah.
queen where? You're going to play queen
Queen
e6.
e6.
check.
And then
Queen-
king h8, and
Oh,
then rook
okay,
f2 to defend the knight, and then rook f3. Well, rook takes f3, rook takes f3, rook b2 check, and then yeah. and then like I don't know, after like king g1 takes on f3, I can't see any perpetual or anything, so you can go queen c8, king g7, and it's over.
Oh, I haven't got enough fingers to count how many moves ahead you've got there.
Pieces because chess players about 30 plus years old. I think it's.
How do you see so far ahead?
That was amazing. That was good.
Okay.
Maybe you didn't get it right on the first or second move, but it was still excellent calculation.
How do you visualise the board jack after 5 moves?
Yeah, it's a great question.
You can't, it's impossible to visualize the whole board. Or, like, you can't just visualize the whole board. I don't know.
Okay,
Just the main board.
let's
main
follow that, because that's exactly what we're doing here. We're calculating deep down one line, and the line is essentially a forced line. So the bishop takes a5, rook takes b3, okay? Queen takes e6 check, king f8, protecting the bishop, okay? Because the queen was threatening to take the bishop, so king to f8. Rook over to, is it
f2.
f2?
No, you can play rook f1, but then you just take a free rook, so.
Yeah, rook f2, which protects the knight that was pinned, and was also now attacked by the rook that's on b3. And the rook that was on c2 was also attacked by the queen anyway, so that rook's gone over to f2. Rook takes f3 anyway, so you take the knight. Rook takes rook, it's pretty much forced. Where are we going there?
Rook
Well, if you
b2.
play rook b2,
But then you can play rook d2.
Bishop up.
Yeah, you can play rook d2 after.
So after rook takes f3, rook takes f3, rook b2 check, you can block with rook d2, right?
Because the bishop on f5.
Because the
Yes.
bishop on whatever.
Then you have take queen e2, making one of the rooks.
Here you go, queen e2 instead of rook b2.
Queen e2. What?
Oh yeah.
Wait, what
You
happens?
get one of the rooks.
Queen e2,
You pick up the rook on b1.
Wait,
then the rook has to come back to f2.
Yeah.
After rook.
Block,
Wait,
and then you take the rook on d1
Wait, when's this? Oh, after rook f3, rook
instead of rook
f3.
e2.
Okay.
Alright, so let me go through it again. We've gone takes, check, here, takes, check. So the queen's hitting this and that. The rook comes back, the queen goes there. Does anyone want to work out what's happening in that position? Because calculating down is one thing, assessing what's going to happen at the end of that long line is another thing completely.
So what's what days now?
But also can play 5 at some point.
Black's looking good.
Black's looking good.
Yeah.
What's the point?
What? Is it? But didn't he just lose an exchange?
No, he just took on f3.
Oh no,
and then
because he took on
over.
f3 with
There's
it.
also
Okay.
5 times
No,
go back.
wait.
Disregard.
Yeah, he's a. What? No, it's equal,
He
isn't
lost
it?
an exchange, but then he won a rook.
Oh no, wait, he's already up pawn. So yeah, white's up a pawn, isn't he?
Oh, he lost a piece.
White's up a pawn at the end, but it looks dodgy because like d3 is there.
Oh no, sorry.
But why is it checking
No.
5?
Sorry, I missed it.
Oh!
you're
changes
saying about
everything.
F5. I was wondering what's going on.
It's equal.
But it doesn't make that much difference.
White looks like it's got more initiative.
Can't see where he's gonna actually do anything after that.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? A long way down the line.
I think it's still unclear in there.
Oh, it's just, that's it.
But at the
It's
end-
the answer to the
Okay,
title.
so rook. Okay, so bishop a5, rook b3, queen e6, king h8.
F8.
Pardon? I mean f8. Yep, sorry. And then yeah, blah 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 takes on f3, queen e2 takes on d1, and then bishop c7.
Bishop c7,
Yeah, followed by bishop d6.
and it's all over.
Probably not.
Well, no, I mean, like, if you're calculating bishop c7 and then
No,
bishop
I think
d6.
rook b1 and bishop d6 queen h1 mate. So yeah, I don't know. I've no
Could
idea.
you take the bishop on e7 instead of
King's on
He's
f8.
gone to f8.
King went to f8. Alright, let's check our analysis and see what's going on, okay? Down that line. So, bishop takes. Rook takes. That's pretty good, isn't it? This calculation. Queen check. Cool. King here. Rook comes across because it was attacked. It's protected this, which gets taken anyway. So he takes back. And queen goes there. So the rook blocks. And we take this. And the bishop goes here.
Yeah, rook b1, queen h1. Oh, I can go to h1 again. I didn't see that.
Sorry.
Maybe. I thought it was made after h1. I thought rook b1, bishop d6. Yeah, king can go there.
Okay. Bishop c7. Cool. Now we need an ideas move. Against.
Rook b1 with h1.
I don't think. No, I don't think.
Queen h1's not made.
King gets h3. Yeah. Still an idea.
Here's an idea. I guess what your opponent's going to do is play bishop to d6, which is a really, really big idea.
Yeah. It's a better idea.
It's a strong idea. So that's something that you've got to deal with.
Queen b1 maybe.
Queen b1.
Doing exchange. And then we have strong pawns.
Okay, but after queen b1, if I play bishop d6 anyway.
Rook b7 maybe. Also queen e4 check is the threat.
Queen e4, king h3,
b7.
queen c8.
Oh yeah, I can't play.
No,
check.
queen e6.
No, I can't play queen e4 then. So yeah, play rook b7 straight away. Queen c8.
You play rook b7 in this position.
No, I think here I have to play queen b1.
Okay, if you play queen b1, bishop d6,
Rook b7.
rook b7, queen f6.
Or another option after bishop b6, I can play queen b7 check. Because now my queen is back and then rook a8 maybe.
Okay.
But can't we just take on b8 anyway?
Because I think.
Because we just exchange up on. Should
But
we?
he's got pawns on
you
c5
can, but then
and
from calculation
d4.
something very, very complicated but still not clear.
I'd rather have the extra exchange, I think.
But I think let's just maybe.
Look for a better move. Force yourself to find an idea.
Or we can play queen takes a4.
Yeah, the same idea with queen takes a4.
Hold on. Queen takes a4.
And then bishop takes rook and queen a8 check.
But okay, queen a4, you just play bishop d6. And, oh, but then you could queen c6 maybe.
But queen c6 after bishop takes a7, you know, the queen will be in, so.
I don't know, I think there's something more spectacular.
I'm not saying it's more spectacular, there's definitely something more efficient in this position. What you're looking for.
There's no brilliancy prize in this lecture.
That's a shame.
Well, sometimes we have to find the best defensive manoeuvres.
Yeah, rook e8.
Rook e8, bishop d6. Rook e8 looks too passive.
Rook b7.
B7,
Bishop
c8,
queen c8.
picks up the rook. I think.
So what happened with queen b1? What was the... What was
Queen
that?
b1, bishop d6.
Well, I think
Or you could just take
the
it,
rook. You
yeah.
just take the rook. I think. You're an exchanger,
Yeah.
and there's no like. Well, Michael thinks there's a bit of compensation, but there's probably not.
So could black win, or is it a draw?
I'm sure black could win. I'm sure white could win. Certainly, if we're playing bad moves, they could. If we're playing the best moves, then who knows?
Queen could be one.
That's
Yeah.
what
Yeah,
That's what
we
I
just
just
said.
said.
Although, what about queen b3?
Queen b3. Thank you very much. Let's exchange the queens off the board.
No, how did it take
I'm
some
surprised at you, Michael, for taking so long to work that one out.
Trademark Michael Barron move.
Queen b3, okay? After queen b3, I think as white's almost got to exchange queens. Which will like,
b7 maybe.
sorry?
Queen b7
Queen b7.
and queen b7 checking.
3 or rook c8 there, yeah.
Yeah, rook c8.
Yeah. Well, queen b3.
Queen
It's an amazing defensive move, but to be fair, most of us wouldn't see at the start of that line. Most of us wouldn't even get to that position.
Queen d3, queen d7, what was the move?
Yeah.
Queen c7.
Queen e6, queen e6, queen e6 I think is the only try.
Yeah, queen a6.
If we've got the check and then
But
rook
still,
c8 or
still.
something. Have we?
Queen e6.
No.
Queen a6, it's the same.
What they're saying is you can go there. Maybe you go, if you want to keep your queen on the board.
I think queen b7 check.
But there's still queen b7 check, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're trading queens off. And without queens on the board, well, this bishop's not so great. And these pawns are actually really good. Okay? That's what Michael was saying. He was happy to do that and exchange down. Here he doesn't even need to be an exchange down, and he's got these pass pawns together.
But if queen d7, queen b7, then just move the king.
No. And then rook c8.
Check. Yeah. Yeah.
Bishop's
Okay? So I think you've got to trade queens. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Can you...
Yeah?
repeat that way?
Now look, what I've shown you is a calculation puzzle. It's not a tactics puzzle. The line is a load of forcing moves, one after another. And the further you can see down these lines, the more you're calculating. Okay? It's different to the tactics puzzle we did before, because that was a puzzle where we had to see the first idea. If we could see the idea of trying to bring the king into the middle and try and checkmate it, then the calculation after that's relatively easy. Here we're just looking further and further and further, and it's hard to do this sort of thing for most of us.
Is there a way to improve your ability to visualise it?
Yes, there certainly is. Well, I'm going to tell you in a second the sort of things that you can do with both of these different techniques, because they are different techniques that we're supposed to use in our games. Most of us tend to rely on one or the other, or do them, but don't do them to the sort of extent that we could do. Okay? We usually find that players are a bit more biased to one or the other. So we've got people who are good at ideas, but they don't calculate very strong. I'm more on that side. Okay? We've got players who are great at calculating for their level. Sometimes they miss ideas near the start of their calculations. Okay? But they are strong at calculating. Okay? So up at the sort of level I'm at, sort of like, or up at the level that Michael and Jack there are playing against, Jack especially at the moment, he's playing more than anybody I think at the moment. You've got people like strong calculators. I guess Chris Wallace would be a strong calculator. We call him someone who calculates a lot. We'll see an idea of his in a minute, where his calculation was completely off the ball, completely. Well, his calculation was good, he just got the wrong first move. So his problem is with ideas, rather than with calculation. He can calculate great, but it's a bit like if you've got sort of like a map memorised in your head, and it's like, right, I go down there, I turn left, then I turn right, then I turn left, I go down there for a bit, turn second right, left, right. And you do that perfectly. But you go out your road the wrong way. You're going to end up in the wrong place. Okay? You've got to get the right idea to start with, and then follow it to its logical conclusion. So, you've got to be a good ideas person as well as a good calculator. But most of us aren't that for both those things for our level. Now obviously, I'm saying I'm not a particularly good calculator, alright? But when I'm working with kids, I'm obviously a much better calculator than most of them are. Once the kids get to about 15, 16, and they've been playing for a few years, they're better at calculating than me usually, because they've had more practice at it. And we force them to do exercises like this. So they're excellent at calculating. but they have problems with seeing ideas. Okay? And then as they get to about 19, 20, if they're good enough, they're better at me at calculating and ideas. Okay? But you can practice both things. You can practice calculating, you can practice, well, getting more and more ideas at the start of lines. You do loads of tactics exercises, hundreds of them, you're really working with your ideas. However, this is not a tactics puzzle. We're in the middle of a game, and in fact, the player who was white, who was a Canadian Grandmaster called Kevin Sprague, said, well, I was looking down this line, I couldn't quite work out what was happening, it was too deep, I couldn't see clearly to the end of it, so I chose the safe move, and he actually played Rook D3. Okay? He abandoned his line because he couldn't calculate far enough down the line. He was trying to find, he didn't see Queen B3, funnily enough.
So if he's a grandmaster and he can't do it, what hope do we have?
No, but he looked at it from like, we're looking at it from one move or one move position.
Well, Dan, actually that's a really good question. But we don't have, I guess, any hope. But we do have aspirations.
Yeah.
Okay? We all aspire to calculate. Funnily enough, I was reading a book by a guy called Jacob Argyle, who writes excellent books about calculation. If you want a book about these sorts of puzzles and these sorts of exercises, get one of his books about calculation. And he says he works with grandmasters, some of whom can't calculate at all. But they're brilliant ideas. 2 or 3 moves down, they see all tactics. But they can't see any deep ideas.
And they're still grandmasters.
Yeah.
What's the difference between like ideas and candidate moves? So you find all the candidate moves, like the ideas, and then just calculate them?
Yeah, you have to be able to do that in a valid time. And some players are a little bit lazy anyway, so you look at an idea, you'll get fastened on it, and you'll think, great idea, yes. And then you try and make it work.
But the grandmasters that you said before, they must have memorized 500,000 positions that they have.
1 million?
No, I don't think
I think
they
so.
wouldn't memorize positions at all.
They have pattern recognition, and I'll tell you, it's got to be at that level.
Have you seen that interview with Magnus Carlsen, where he's supposedly got 10,000 games memorised, and the interviewer just shows him a chessboard and says, what was that from? And it's something in the middle game, and he says, oh, that was Bill Smith against Joe James in July
They don't try to memorise
1943.
positions.
Yeah, but
It's
Carlsen
always
is a
the
good
time.
calculator.
If it's that simple, why don't others like Ronin say, okay, Carlsen memorized 10,000, let me memorize 20,000?
There's no, he just, I think it's just a gift of his to do that. They don't memorise just like a position and then its move. They don't memorise random positions. It's sort of just.
Yeah, I'm not saying the entire board, I'm saying there's the pattern of the pieces on a particular side of the board. In a
Yeah, they
particular
don't
area.
try. They don't try to remember it. They usually just try to like build it into the intuition. They don't just like remember that. Oh, I've seen this pattern before. They,
I think they do.
you know, they try.
Memory is definitely a skill that is utilised by grandmasters. Very interesting though that earlier on last year, when was it? I'm trying to think, when they was in Moscow at that art gallery. You remember that tournament?
Yeah.
Magnus Carlsen said that his understanding of the game, not his memory, not his knowledge, his understanding of the game was up there amongst the top 4 or 5 in the world. There was only like 3 or 4 players he reckoned who understood the game as much as he did. So maybe we should take that on board. He's talking about understanding.
Wait, so I'm going back to the comment that you made where you said there you had who was it that was working with these grandmasters that could not
Jacob
calculate,
Argyle. Yeah.
but they could play good chess.
Oh, great chess.
They're going from pattern recognition. They have to.
Yeah, and very small problem-solving exercises. Okay, so
They have a lot of patterns built in.
well, yeah, we all do, I guess. We all do, yeah.
So I think there is one more factor to consider because one advantage, because Daniel was asking how we expected to find a good move if grandmasters fail. Because one advantage over grandmasters, when they're having this position, they don't know that there is some solution. When we have positions set up for us and we know we need to look for something.
All right.
And another skill of strong chess players, what they do, they don't calculate every position. There are particular points in the game, this is when you know pattern recognition is very important. And they say, okay, here I really need to work very hard.
Well, there is another thing as well, and that's the majority of players, when they're working at chess, they consider working at chess as learning their openings. Okay?
No, that's wrong.
Well, no, it's true actually. The majority of players do think working at openings is
Correct, but that's the wrong thing.
yeah. Working on tactics and working your calculation, working on the way that your brain works has got to be the most efficient way of improving your chess. until you get to a certain level,
Then you think
then you've
about
got to work on your openings.
So just to clarify what you said before, are you saying that there are some grandmasters, they only calculate 2 or 3 moves ahead, but because of their...
What I'm saying is that Jacob Argyle, in his book on calculation, said that he met grandmasters who couldn't accurately calculate
more than 2 or 3 moves.
No, of course they can calculate.
They can calculate, they can't calculate accurately.
That's what.
Who knows what Jacob Agard thinks
What
is
does
bad?
deep mean? It's very...
It's different for different people, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like,
Jacob Agard
could
thinks
be
like
2 or 3 moves.
It could be 20.
Also,
It depends on the position, but sometimes we have a lot of different moves that we've got to calculate in one sort of position. So we've got a lot of different candidates, and then they have a lot of different branches. And what he was saying was the calculation skills of these grandmasters that he was working with, some of them are amazing. They can see a long way clearly down lines, but some can't. Okay? Okay, I tell you one thing that will help you calculate, and that is pawn endgames. We could calculate this one to the end, for instance, I reckon, even though it might take 15 moves.
Who's moving?
It's black to move. Now, just let me get this right. I don't want to be embarrassed by saying, oh no, there happens to be a rook over there. Okay? No, that's perfect. So it's white to move. No, sorry, it's black to move. Black to move.
Yeah. Black king's got to move to
G6.
6 or G6.
Yeah,
It has to move.
opposition of G6.
It has to move.
Otherwise he loses pawn. D5.
He's going to move to F6 or he loses the E pawn.
you can go to G6.
We can go G6 coming.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Then white can't move to F5, you're right.
Either.
He moves his king to rook 4.
What's that?
G4. Isn't it?
Rook 5.
Hang on.
But isn't black also trying to...
Black's
create a
moving.
pass pawn?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
hang on.
I can't see how I can get the
G6.
pawn.
Hang
Oh,
on.
yes.
B4.
Maybe C5.
B4 instead, so let's do it. Let's go and grab the pawn up there, and if the king goes up and takes E5, whatever. Because we'll get a queen down there first.
So what, C5,
C5.
Oh, C5.
C5, King F5,
B4.
Why would
B4.
you take it? That's a B4.
No? What? You can't take
It's black's move, isn't it?
No,
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 it's
black
black's
move.
move.
C5 first, and then
Yeah, black move C5.
B4 first doesn't work because you need to create a pass pawn. You've got to make a pass pawn.
Yeah,
So you need to play C5 first.
Okay, so let's work it out. C5,
yeah.
King F5.
King F5.
King of 3.
B4.
Alright, we'll look at King F5 first, and then we'll look at King F3 afterwards, okay?
B4.
B4.
B4,
Pawn takes
Takes.
B4.
pawn takes.
Which pawn?
C
C
takes.
takes to create a pass pawn on the outside on the queen side.
Yeah.
Take on E5.
King takes E5,
A4.
A4,
King D4.
King D4.
White's got to be
B3.
fine.
No, B3 takes A3.
King's destroyed.
Oh, yeah, the king's already. Wait,
Yeah, king
is it
gets
already on
that.
D4? So, C5, King
He
F5.
moves his king first.
Alright, let's have a look. C5, King F5. B4, C takes B4.
C takes B4.
C takes B4. King takes E5.
Yeah,
What are we on? A4, King D4.
yeah.
B3, A takes B3. A3, King C3. Hey, we look 7 moves ahead without even thinking about it. We know that white must be winning that.
Yep.
So we move 7 moves ahead. Can I tell you now, that when Queen B3 was in that variation, that was 7 moves ahead.
Yeah, but there's a lot less pieces.
Yeah, and they're pawns.
Well, I know, but we're looking the same depth ahead.
Yeah. But there's less variations.
There's less breadth.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Well, actually, there's more variations in this.
Really?
Yeah.
But they're a lot simpler, because the pawns don't really can only do a couple of
King
things.
with pawn or king.
Alright, let's say that C5 is not the right move. There you go. You need another move. Sorry?
King to F5.
King to F5.
No,
It's
black
black.
move.
Black's
black's first. Black's
I'll
So-
take the move.
King G6.
Ah,
F6, I think.
Okay.
F6, G6,
oh, yeah.
F6,
F6
G6.
is in
Yeah, yeah,
F6.
true. So probably King F6.
King F6.
King F6. Okay. Alright, you're on calculator.
Okay.
I'm just showing you the position.
Okay, so king f6, king h5 loses. So yeah, calculate that.
King to F6,
D4.
rook 5.
Yeah.
King f6, white resigns.
Okay, so d4 I think
No,
should
king
lose
to
after
F6.
takes and you push the pawns.
White wins.
White wins.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Hey?
So king f6,
Yeah, king to rook 5.
No,
king h5,
no,
H5,
it just c5.
and then c5, and then there's definitely a pawn happening on the
Pawns
other side.
are queens,
You
bishop,
get the
5.
central pawn.
The black promotes first. Black's got a queen, we can have 3 central pawns,
Right,
right?
let's go with this one line. King f5, sorry,
F6.
king f6, king is going to drop back the black king and come across. So how are you going to do that, Jack? Where's it going on?
Wait, what? White's move.
Yeah, white.
King
Okay.
f3.
f3.
King b6.
No, clicking maybe g5.
Or c5.
c5, or king g5, or king e6. I thought you said there were no variations there.
Okay, king f6, king f3, c5.
c5.
Yeah, C5.
Yeah.
Give it a-
c5.
c5.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, go on, you're playing for both sides. You're counting.
King e3,
King e3, yeah.
and then who knows?
King
Maybe.
e6, just because there's no rush.
Yeah, he's gonna play d4 maybe.
Takes.
Takes back, but like the king or
Well,
the
if the
pawn.
king goes, if the king goes to F6,
Just king e6 probably isn't the move, I think. For him. So king f6, king f3, c5, king
Do
e3.
you know something? Just let me have a little interlude here. You guys are all looking exactly the same as I was looking when I was trying to solve these about 4 or 5 months ago. You're all like, I don't know. I can't work it out anymore, my head's just going crazy. However, when we're playing a game, this is what we should be doing. We should be coming up with ideas and then trying to calculate down them.
Right. What's
Okay?
the idea? The idea is to create a pass pawn, isn't it?
Well, yeah, well, it's definitely one idea, yes. So
That's quite simple, but the details are a lot harder than that.
the reason why in pawn endgames it's important to calculate is in pawn endgames, very often, we can calculate all the way through to the end. Okay, if we think clearly about it. You see, what you were saying about the other position was it very complicated because there's lots of pieces on the board. In fact, there was only one main line of theory there, or one main line of calculation. And Jack got it pretty much all the way through, almost in one hit, by saying just the logical sorts of moves. There was one forcing line in what we had looking before. Here, it's actually quite a complicated position, because there's quite a lot of things that both sides can do. But if you take it in order, you should be able to calculate it through. Definitely c5 doesn't work. We worked that out, so we can forget about it. But you know what? When you're playing a game, you won't. You'll go c5, and you go there, and you go there, take, king takes, oh, it doesn't work. Alright, so king f6, and he goes there, I go there, and c5. Hold on, was c5 right? Maybe c5 actually works the first time. You go back, and you don't trust yourself.
Right.
However, if you learn to calculate, if you practice, you actually do start trusting yourself, and you say c5, that goes there, that goes there, that goes there. 7 moves down the line, oh no, I'm losing. Shelve that idea, forget about it, let's not look at that again, let's look at something else. So, go down one line this time. So, king f6, cool. King f3, then c5,
Yeah.
c5,
King e3.
king e3.
Who knows?
no,
Okay,
a4,
a4.
a4,
Why?
Just to do
A4
something.
is the move.
a4.
Why?
Okay, a4.
Which
He gets a central
Well, it's
pawn.
pushing your
pushing your pawn.
perspective past pawn
Yeah.
closer, isn't it?
Is
And then-
C4 an idea as well?
c4, possibly. We'll stick with a4 though, just for the sake of it, because that's the first one to come
C4
up.
is just a draw.
D4.
No, I think c4 is a draw.
But then D4.
Forget it, you see,
Yeah,
you're going off on a tangent, you're thinking,
After A4,
boom, boom,
D4.
boom, 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 oh, step back and let's have a look
Okay,
at
we'll check
it.
we'll check c4 after a4.
Yeah, well if a4 works, then we don't even have to worry about c4.
But then
Okay,
D4.
so
What is
a4,
white?
d4.
Alright, a4, d4, okay, cool.
CD.
Mm,
CD.
CD, CD.
Before.
b4, you take on e5 with check and play king d3.
Yeah. then yeah, you take on E5 with check, and then the king says.
So I don't think it's B4.
So
He plays A4.
Well, it's very simple, isn't it? We've got to work on our calculation, don't we? All right.
So you played C4.
D4.
D5.
No, D4.
I mean D4 and then
so CD,
No, I'm
CD,
thinking
is
other-
that correct?
Takes,
Takes.
takes. Yeah, let's look at that. That's good.
okay, CD, CD. Like after CD, CD. I can't see anything else apart from B4, and then you just take on E5 with check, king takes,
Oh, I've got
king
to look at the
D3.
position. Oh.
You got the wrong position.
Hmm?
You got the wrong position.
Yeah, right.
No, I've got the right position. I'm just trying to work out why you guys can't see what.
Hang on.
See you guys.
Wait, what are we looking at? We're looking at A4, D4.
It's difficult, isn't it?
Yes.
No,
Whereas finding our idea was
after,
pretty easy.
after CD4, CD4 just looks like a draw.
B4. B4.
Can I just say,
B4, take the check. king D3.
another reason why people like to do tactical exercises is because they can do them. I can sit and do hundreds of tactical exercises and get them 60, 70% right.
Yeah.
I try calculation exercises where I'm trying to look 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 moves down the line, and sometimes I've got to take a few branches like we've done here. I'm struggling to get them right, to be fair. Okay?
Was
And
this?
I'm 2150 or something, that's my ranking.
But the problem is when we're playing a game of chess, we always try to avoid, the things that we don't like. Like, for example, the previous example, if you get that position, people like Morris, Dale, Puccini, straight away they will start analyzing bishop takes f5 for the next half an hour.
Yeah.
And people like Baron and Goldenberg will just say, okay,
And Gorka.
and Gorka.
D3.
why don't you just play rook d3 and
And we're a bit lazy, because bishop a5 is the threat.
Yeah.
Let's stick with this and we'll go through it just a little bit longer, okay? We've had nearly an hour of this crazy stuff, and I've got a slightly easier one for you afterwards, okay? So you'll be glad to know that the next one should be fairly easy and we should be able to do that, okay? Alright, so look, king f6, king here, c5, king there, a4,
D4.
d4,
CD, CD.
Yeah, it's a draw.
B4.
CD, CD, B4 takes.
CD.
takes.
Nice.
cd.
Yeah.
Yep,
Oh, you're doing that? Oh, you do. So, take on E5, wait, so, we're looking
it's
at
black's
B4.
good.
Black B4.
b4, okay,
Go A4.
Takes on E5, king takes E5, and then
takes on e5,
and it's check.
so you'd have to play king
And
takes,
then king D3.
and then king d3.
Draw.
Yeah, definitely a draw, I would say.
So I don't
So-
think
so how does
I
black
don't
win?
think-
What are you saying?
Well,
black
C5's not the move or something. Or
C5's wrong.
Maybe c5's not the move, yeah, maybe.
Why are we taking
I
on
reckon
E5?
he goes to A.
Who's taking on e5?
Why?
Black.
After CD,
Yeah.
why is white taking on E5? Shouldn't white
So
be
the
playing D5? and
if he
king
plays
takes
D5,
pass But
he
takes
just
the pass
played-
pawn, then the king's got to
no, he
stay.
just played B3. A takes B3, A3.
Yeah.
Your pawns are on here,
Sorry.
so you can go there, and if he takes, you go past, and this king's here, isn't it? So
Yeah.
No,
Okay,
you're
so
sitting in a
D3. Yeah, I'm thinking it's on, yeah. I'm thinking it's on D3. I'll see.
Kings, so
You don't
C5.
need
not the
I
move.
reckon the king goes
c5
to
not the
A.
move. Okay, so king,
No,
not c5.
C5.
Not
Ah.
Yeah, okay, not c5.
It's got to be C5.
no,
It's
king,
got to be
if the
C5.
king's there, he goes to
King,
rook.
G5, I think.
He goes to rook 5.
Yeah, G5. But who
And
knows?
he's got to give
King to
the
g5. We like king to g5 instead.
No, I think king to A5.
Then
Okay,
d4.
then it's on F6.
Hang on.
And then takes, and
What do we have on?
getting a pass pawn yourself, aren't you?
Yeah, white's better. So
King
king
goes
to
E6.
Huh?
King to E6.
Yeah, maybe.
King to e6.
I don't see what it does, but.
It's not wrong.
Offer a draw.
That's a good idea, yeah.
Where does he go?
There's always eeny meeny.
Oh, it's black to move, isn't it?
They said that was his GM. He was like, I can't remember his name,
Can't
like
move his king.
Tiger Hill person or something, Swedish GM. He just took a year off chess and just the whole year he just
Yeah.
analysed like just pawn and games, and just that's all he analysed was pawn and games.
Jonathan Hawkins, English Grandmaster, went
Yeah.
from 22
Bumped him.
150,
Yeah.
basically by looking at pawn and rook endgames. Well, that's what he said. Okay? He said he just studied them non-stop
He
for
went from white to what?
Can I
Went from about
analyze the
2250 to 2550.
Just looking at Endgame.
That's what he said.
Rook
How did he get to 2250 in the first place?
Anyone can get to 2250. That's not important. That's easy. Even I got to the 2250 without even trying. So that's just playing. That is.
Maybe you're just a genius.
I don't think so. You just got to work and you've got to play and you've got to put some effort in. 2250 isn't that hard. Okay? 2500, yeah, that's tough. Okay? You've got to be a lot of players who are putting in a lot of work themselves. Alright, let me give you a clue. This was another position that was played by Mark Dvoretsky. He's the best trainer in the world, apparently. Okay?
According to Mark
Mark Dvoretsky. Okay? He's the man that trains your grandmasters. Okay? In Russia. So, he was playing black in this position. Okay? I analysed this position. This came from one of those old informative books, which is like one of those things that the camera's sitting on up there. It's got loads and loads of games in it, and loads of positions, and you just look through them and you say to yourself, oh, and you look at the analysis they come up with, and you find someone like Dvoretsky who's always criticising everybody else's analysis, and you try and fault his, just because it makes you feel better. However, one nice idea about this is that line would work if only pawn takes pawn wasn't check.
King G6. King G6.
Exactly, that line works if pawn takes pawn isn't check.
We play King G6.
So if you were to play King G6 first, that line works. Mark Dvoretsky, in the Informator, said that King F6 is a mistake because of that line. So King G6 actually would be the move that would work in that particular variation. So King G6, King here, C5, King there, A4 or B4, whatever you want to play, A4, D4, pawn takes, B4, and now you can't play this because then one of these pawns will promote because this king's too far away. So he's got to move his king across, but then you can still try and promote this, and then you'll have this guy to take, and you'll have two pawns to promote, one probably on the A file and one on the D file. That's if your king's on G6 instead of F6.
But then would white just play a different line?
Might do. But King G6 is a definite win. Because even if he doesn't play the D4, then your king can just come around this way. If this king decides it's going to go around there, you can just follow it in. Okay? In fact, if your king can get to F4, you're even protecting this pawn. Okay, so you might be able to take it back again at some stage.
Wow. Could you show us?
Alright, so King G6, king here. C5, king here. A4, yeah? This is the line we're looking at. D4, pawn takes, pawn here, pawn there, B3, pawn takes, here, and this king can't stop that pawn. Okay?
Wow.
But it works because it's not a check here. Okay? So he said that King F6 was a big blunder, and he gave it a big question mark. Actually, he does win. It does win, yeah.
Just different idea.
Yeah, it does win. But he didn't see that.
What, King F6 wins? Or?
But then again, he didn't have a computer at the time, because this game was played in 1975 or something like that. Okay? I'm going to give you one last puzzle, okay?
How does King F6 win?
Dan, you've always got these questions. You just don't take things for granted, do you? Alright.
I don't trust anyone.
You come across to D6 with the king? Is that the idea?
That's
That's a good question though.
Well,
No one's been able to figure it out here.
Yeah, King G5 wins.
Is that right? Okay, King F6, where have I got this analysis? King F6 actually does win. So, king here, C5,
King E3.
King E3, B4, oh, actually, sorry, it's your move, A4. That's the winning move over here. Okay.
D4.
Yeah, D4, pawn takes,
E takes.
yeah,
Oh, that's the new
pawn takes, here,
move.
okay? So you've got to take in that direction instead. Okay.
Take your word for it.
Yeah, I analysed this for ages.
Ah.
So the king's still got to come across this way.
It's not fast enough.
So you take the E pawn instead of the C pawn. Alright, here's a great one. I don't know how many of you have done this. This is a 50-50 chance. This is a coin flip one. I'll give you two choices of moves, so it's either there or there. Which one should I do? You can calculate it, or you can just say, you are not it. Okay? Whichever one you prefer. It's white to move. The question is, you're in check, where are you going to move your king?
A1.
A1,
A1.
B1.
A1, B1.
A1.
Not B3.
Not B3, yeah, we can count out B3, that's really bad. So A1 or B1? A1 someone shouted, B1 someone shouted. Cool. I tell you what, has anyone got a coin? Just, we don't even have to work it out, do we? Oh, $2 one as well, that's good.
B3 is there because
B3
of
is there.
B2.
Yeah, B3 is really bad.
We figured
You
that.
checkmate.
Yeah.
You checkmate if you go to B3.
The question is, A1, B1, or it doesn't really matter. A1's okay, B1's okay, they're both really bad.
It's
What do you reckon?
A1.
A1.
A1, B3, and then what? Rook G1.
But then he's kind of
B3?
Huh?
After King A1, B3?
and then you
Yeah,
threaten
and then
mate.
Rook G1.
No, it just pushes the ball.
Yeah,
No,
B1's gotta be.
Mate on
done,
one, isn't
because
it?
it can come up.
Right?
Rookie 1 is checkmate.
Yeah. So you have to play Rook
Yeah,
G1.
B1.
B1's gotta be better.
What's going on?
A1's better, is it?
Wait, so wait. King A1, B3, Rook G1.
If he goes to B1, then he pushes the other pawn down. To B3 and you escape mate.
So
No?
A1, B3, Rook G1,
Oh no.
B2 check, King
It's
A2,
B1.
then just Rook C2 and Rook
B1.
C1.
We send
No wait, what's going on?
So King A1,
Yeah.
B3, threatening mate, Rook G1,
And then you play.
B2 check,
No.
King A,
King A2.
King A2, and then just Rook C2 to C1 and Queens.
You're getting queen as well on the G file.
And what happens is.
yeah.
No, it's losing.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
losing. If you go A1, B3, Rook G1, and then you play. What was it again?
Oh, you've seen this one before. He's memorising it.
No, hang on. Yeah.
Isn't it like Rook A2 check, and you can like just check on the second rank, and then if the king goes away to the default, then you push the A pawn? So I can't
Yeah, but if he comes to go for A1.
what's white's first move? A1 or B1?
I think it's
Doesn't
B1.
matter.
It's B1.
Yeah, B1.
I think it's. They go,
It's
if he
not
goes,
the
oh
A1.
no, it's not. It's not
A1.
B1. B1 loses. That's what.
It's A1.
Yeah, it loses because if you go to B1 and B3, Rook G1, then you go King A4. Oh, but then check. Oh god.
Just look at it. It's annoying, isn't it?
Oh no, it's check. A2 check King A1, and then King A4, and then pawn push. Yeah, that's it.
What's it?
So B1's wrong.
I think B1's. Well, I think King B1 B3, Rook G1, King check on A2, King A1, Rook, King A4, G7, King A3 promotes, and then it's mate.
Okay, so I just throw a spanner in the works, Jack.
Hmm?
King B1, B3,
Yeah.
Rook G4 check.
G5.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Okay, and
So Rook,
G5.
Rook G5 check.
Yep.
King.
it's the same thing, isn't it? Different.
Is it?
How do you get out of check first?
Okay, I go to C4.
But now he coins with check.
Check.
And he has to go back anyway. I'm just going. No, it's different. No, it's the same if he plays. So he has to check again. And I go to C3. And then you have to check again, it looks like. And I go to D2. And then you go back to G1.
And how does your king get A3 from D2?
And then I go A2 check, King A1, King C2.
I got King B2.
Oh, you do.
It's pretty good calculation though, because we said seeing a long way down the line.
Have to play b3.
Do we have to play b3? Now there's an ideas question, isn't
That's
it?
checkmate.
It is, but is that the best move? We're threatening checkmate, but we're allowing our opponent to check.
King A4 instead of moving.
And then
A4.
push the pawn.
Which pawn?
Well, one only has one pawn.
Oh, we're talking about white move. I thought it was black's move.
Okay, well, no. Dan said king a4.
King A4, G7.
And then what?
Where's the white king?
Oh, no, and then
What's
it's
Wed's first
man 2. Oh, wait.
You're talking about, sorry, you're talking about,
Okay,
king b1.
Okay, I know the winning
King
position,
B1.
we just need to know how to get it.
And,
After king
A2.
a1, we bring pawn to a2, king to a3, pawn to b3, then rook a1 check, rook a1 b2 mates. So if we can get that position, we are winning. Again,
Well, that's what happened lots of times.
Okay, so
against ideas of
What he's saying is he wants this. Boom. Yeah?
yeah.
That's what you want. And when that becomes a queen, it's not check. So you are allowed to let him get a queen as long as your next move will be checkmate. That's what you're saying, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, but the rook can
But
just
basically,
get
It's too far away.
Well, that's what happened in the other line, except it's probably smarter to try to switch the move order around to so you don't get checked. Because I think what I said would work if it's not checked, so it's probably a smarter way to do it, like king a1, king a4 maybe, and then
Well, king b1.
king b1.
That's what we're looking at, isn't it? We reckon king b1's the right move. What would black play in that position?
It's like
King
king
A4.
b1, that's right.
King b...
King,
King A4.
King a1 is the right
No.
move.
Rook to A, B2.
Rook to b... I think the rook's fine where it is.
Okay.
so
King
what,
A4.
king b1.
King b1, let's work that out. Let's calculate king b1.
Okay, so king a4,
Oh,
and then
B3.
G7.
g7, and then you check on a2 and king
A2.
a1,
King a1,
and then just king a3.
king a3.
No, but then you play rook g3 check.
There is no g3 check.
I mean,
You've got to-
isn't it? Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay, then,
Yeah,
you play,
so,
then you play b3.
and then you take it and promote with check.
Really?
So, if you go king b1, you play king a4, and then you push g7 and a2, king a1, king a3, rook b3, rook g3 check, b3, rook takes, b3, rook takes b3, king takes b3, g8, queen check.
Very interesting.
So,
So we're looking at king b1 or king a1? We're starting to work it out, aren't we?
Yeah.
I think it's a1, yeah, because,
a1, so don't
Well,
blow
it's
extra
got
check.
the both.
Yeah.
One's
but
like.
maybe there's an extra idea here after
One's
a1,
got
maybe
the
there's
both.
like a different way to show mate.
Well, it must be because if it wasn't, it wouldn't matter.
Who said that?
He-
That was a tricky guy.
Okay,
One's
here you go. King b1,
B1.
a2,
Yeah.
king a1, b3. Okay?
G7.
No,
What
it's
does
rook
white
g1.
have to play in this
King
position?
a7, king a3, g8, rook a1 check.
What does white have to play in this position?
G1.
Rook has to
Rook
play
G1.
rook g1.
Rook g1. Okay, start calculating from here.
Rook g1, king
Why,
a4.
why does white have to play that?
Because you're
Otherwise,
going to go rook
check.
g1 and a1.
Otherwise, rook checking
And-
fine.
and
With
the-
check.
And A1, A2 is.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
nice.
so it's winning.
So,
Hang
hang
on,
on,
play
hang
king
on.
a1.
That's a G.
Yeah.
King- King
a4.
A4.
Okay, rook g1, king a4.
Yeah.
Then
G-
what?
King comes
G7.
out.
g7 and then just
King
king
A3
a3.
Cool.
promotes, and then checkmate.
Yeah. Okay. So, king b1 lost the tempo because it got checked. What about king a1? Let's see if we can do the calculations on that. Is that right?
Yeah.
King a1 then.
King A4.
Is king a1 a draw, or is black still winning?
And now there's like other tricks.
A draw.
So like king a1.
Good guess.
It's only 33% up because there's win-loss draw.
Yeah. I know, I'm making it hard. Bringing the odds down.
g3, g1,
That's the multi-ball.
g1, e4, g7.
Isn't the threat the same? He's going to have to spend a tempo on rook g1.
Rook f1 came from behind.
So what?
So
So king a1,
king a1, a2 anyway.
and then just
Yeah.
beat
You
g7.
don't-
No,
you
there's
don't
no
need
three.
to- You don't need
No,
to play
but
rook
you
g1
can.
there because a2 is
Oh
on
right, you're
the
saying after king a1, a2 now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and now
G7.
g7.
b3, threatening
Same thing.
check and then queen.
No, but the king hasn't moved yet.
No, yeah, so it's still the same threat.
So
So
rook G1, yeah.
rook G1.
It's not the same threat.
And you're a
The king's
tempo
not
behind,
defending
yeah.
A2.
Yeah.
It's not the same threat because the king's not defending A2.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
it doesn't matter. You're going to queen on A1 if he doesn't play rook G1.
You've got to play rook G1 as black. Otherwise, your opponent just plays rook to wherever one.
And then
There's none of this.
and then he gets a queen on
Any
A1.
queens on A1.
You can check, so that's pretty bad, I think.
Yeah,
Black.
I agree. It is bad.
It's bad to allow queen to check. Let me show you what happened. Okay. White play here. Black played here.
And now it's the checks as
How about we try and calculate this position?
There we ask you the players what?
Check.
Well, hang on.
Oh, white's a patzer at 2250 and black's slightly better patzer at 2380. You wouldn't have heard of them because they're Spanish.
So rook G5, check.
Why does,
Rook G5
why
check.
does white
Rook
want to
G1.
that corner?
Rook G1.
Rook G1, then you play A2, check. King A1, King A4, G7, and it's mate. Rook
Alright,
G1.
let's go slowly with that. So you're saying if rook G1,
A2.
Rook's got a G1 or check
King
G5.
B4, King B4.
yeah, okay, well, let's go one at a time. Rook to G1, check. A2,
Yeah.
G7.
Match.
Wait, A2 check.
A2 is check.
Oh, A2, oh, is it on B1 at the moment?
Yeah.
Okay,
That one.
king to A1.
King A4, B4,
King comes down to say A4, G7.
King A3.
I get a queen.
No, the pawn's still on.
B2 match.
Yeah.
No, you play rook E1, check. Then he takes mate.
Alright, so rook G1 will lose. So does black have anything else?
Rook G5. Oh, black.
This
Oh, white's not here. Yeah, sorry, I'm getting confused now.
Rook
Give him a
G5.
check.
Rook G5. Okay.
Check.
Rook G.
King C4. Check.
Yeah, what if white just keeps checking?
King gets to D2
What is check?
eventually.
The wrong this way.
Sorry.
Rook
If the king
D4
goes
check.
to D2, he drops to
Oh.
B3.
Oh,
No, I don't think this rook just
King C1. No.
Yeah, the only thing I have is C1.
Sorry.
What's going on?
Drumming.
So wait, check King.
Let's calculate. Let's not just go, I think he's going to do that. Calculate. That's what we're here for. I've had so many ideas. I can come up with ideas. It's calculation that I can't do.
Too hard.
So, rook G5. Check.
King C4.
King C4. What's white playing on?
Rook
Rook
G4.
Rook
G4.
G4, okay.
King to
King
5.
D5.
King D5.
Nah.
Why?
D3.
No, D3, you can just check and
D4.
take.
And then king is 6
Or
back,
so.
there's a triangle.
Okay,
So King D5, we're playing rook G1 in that position.
Okay, and then.
I guess so, yeah.
So rook G1 with the king's on D5. And.
King C4.
Rook G4 check.
Draw.
I'm happy with that. I'm about to get checked later.
Wait, isn't pushing the pawn winning then? Or what?
What, G7?
Yeah, that's king C4.
A2.
King A1.
Rook A, E1.
Rook E1. King's on G. The rook's on G1.
Oh, is it? Oh, sorry.
I've gone, he's wasted tempo, so it's lost.
Okay. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Doesn't really make a difference.
Well, maybe it is then.
No, king C4 is bad, I think. I think that
Black king's got
loses.
to come down.
Huh?
The black king's got to come down, I think. Force mate, some way, somehow.
No, maybe there's someone back.
That's not right.
Well, the king doesn't need to go back. That's what's made. If you got.
Does the king have to go to A3?
That's
No,
only
you
if
can't. It's going to be
That's
check.
only if you made it
Alright,
two
let's
points.
have a
King
look.
go to A3?
Check. Here. Check.
He has to go to D5. Well, he doesn't have to, but it's just
C5, I'll go rook G1.
Oh, okay.
So king C4 loses, I think.
King C4, then we're going to get here. Check.
G7, A2, King A1, King C3, Rook G3.
So what you're saying is king here,
Yeah.
got this, so we're going to be promoting with check.
Yeah.
King's
No, but
got
then you check. Oh yeah.
A2?
I
B2.
I calculated.
No, A2.
A2 king A1.
Well,
It's
you got to
so,
check it.
To king A1. King needs to be on this square.
yeah.
That's what I said, A3.
One move too
So
slow.
it's got to go to B4.
Alright, what now?
No, you,
No, it's too slow.
Okay, so let's go back to this one, shall we? So, check. So you're saying it's got to go there instead?
it doesn't really make a difference, does it?
Um,
Oh, yeah,
check.
it does. It does.
King C3?
King's
Oh, sorry, this, yeah, you're right, it's there, sorry. So,
Check.
check.
King D2?
Take the
Oh,
pawn.
King's B4?
No, let's go to king. Oh yeah, let's go to C4 or B4 and check. So that doesn't work.
We have that again, don't we?
Yeah.
Got to go to B4.
No, it makes. No, wait, what?
Yeah, and then you're going to
If
play
King
A2
C4
next.
Bit G7.
Oh, no, but you're gonna
You
check.
got to check. You got to
Oh,
check.
yeah, okay, so you've got to come back to that.
Then you're going to check again.
And then it's just king B4 and then it's check. And it's,
No, but if the king goes to B4, then rook G4 check. What are you going to do?
yeah, that's what I
Exactly.
just said.
So it's just a draw.
Oh, it's a draw.
Because you can't get out of check.
Yeah.
So
And if he wait,
so
and
you
if he
can't
goes
get-
And he can't go back. We just found that with D5 because then this pawn's actually got nothing in the way of it. Whereas this king's actually in quite an excellent position in the way of these pawns.
So there's no way that black king go to A3. Can't
No,
get to
I
No.
keep checking.
Okay.
Oh, it was a draw.
So that's a draw.
Well,
No.
it is after B3.
That's
After B3 it was a draw.
After B3 it's a draw.
Yeah, but if king A4, black wins.
King A4.
King A4 in this position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then what?
No, I think it's a win
Okay,
for
yeah.
white, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a win for white.
Yeah, Jack came up with this line earlier, didn't he?
Yeah.
Where he takes on B3 or something.
Yeah.
Really?
Because A2, King A1, Queen A3, Rook G3.
So we've got
You
check
want to move behind.
here.
King H3.
You have to go there.
Yeah.
Rook G3 and
And then
take
check.
King B3.
Yeah.
There.
That's right.
And then you take. And then he takes.
And then check.
And you promote the check.
Okay.
Which is pretty nice. So that's good calculation.
So then,
So, why
so
win?
then what?
So white would win that position.
Wait, would he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
White-
King C,
white's
King
done.
C3.
With the right technique.
King,
No, it's a draw, isn't it?
king C3.
Yeah, it is a draw. King C3 draw.
How?
What do you do?
King C3.
I just bring my
Just
king.
check.
Where are you going?
King C3.
King
Just
C3.
gradually bring your queen closer.
No, but the king can't move at all.
Yeah,
It's
so
a draw, I
It's
think.
a draw.
queen
No,
G7.
it's not.
What are you talking about? This king D3? Yeah, of course it's a draw.
That's not.
Yes, of course it's
White
a draw.
wins. White wins.
It's not a win for white. Just put your king on like F2 and just move it E1, F1, F2, and
Queen
the king can't
G-
move.
Queens can check from lots of squares.
Or king Rook D2.
Just rook D2, and now
D2.
the only way you're going to win is to force the king to go on the second rank, which isn't really possible. Even rook C2 would have drawn.
Would it?
Nah, it's got to be a win.
Yeah. It's not a win. It's a hard win without the pawn, let alone the king can move.
Queen to C5.
Queen
No.
A5 check.
Sorry?
Okay, king
King
D3.
H3.
A5 check.
King H3.
King D3, right. Yeah, it looks,
Oh, I might
pretty,
just
looks
go
kind
out
of
or
difficult.
Okay,
Rook C2.
rook C2.
Okay, so if I go
Yep.
here.
King
that's
C4.
C4.
And now, oh, sorry,
Yes,
I
go on.
had a genius idea that it wasn't going to work. I thought,
Queen
I was
E4.
looking for a way, yeah, Queen
Queen
E4 to give check and hit the rook diagonally at the same time.
Yeah, that,
doesn't work.
that would
The
be
king's
good.
always close enough.
I guess we've got to move this guy out of the way somewhere, so maybe we can move
King
him.
G4.
King B4 or King D4.
What about queen A3 instead of it?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's a
Doesn't
draw.
I'll
It's a
just go
draw.
over here and think, keep going.
No, it's not. It's a win.
Yes, it's a draw. Okay, rook D2.
So,
What do you go forward?
okay, the point I'm trying to make from this little lecture with these sorts of positions is there are two sorts of skills that you really got to work on if you want to improve your game. Even if you want to keep your game at the level it's at. Those skills are not studying openings. They're not even studying the theory of endgames. They're not memorizing positions. What they are basically thinking in two different ways. Thinking of broadening the moves that you look at and calculating in depth. Okay? The further you can calculate accurately down the line, the more candidate moves that you can come up with, is the thing that will improve your game the most in the shortest space of time. More than anything else. But then again, it's all a load of nonsense anyway, because if you enjoy what you're working at, that's what will probably be good for you to work on, because most of us don't like to do the hard yards and work on things like heavy calculation puzzles like I've shown you here. If you do want some calculation puzzles, the two people to look for in books, Dvoretsky and Argard. That's A-A-G-A-A-R-D. He's got
Say again.
first one, Mark Dvoretsky, D-V-O-R-E-T-S-K-Y, and his, also his major student, who's now a teacher, is Arthur
You know
Yuzupov.
how to spell that? I can't write as fast as you can talk. So, yeah.
D-V-O-R-E-T-S-K-Y.
Right. And the other guy, double A.
Useful.
A-A-G-A-A-R-D. Jacob Argard. And if you're looking for one other guy who's just written a load of books on this sort of subjects as well, his name is Arthur, that's Arthur without an H, Yuzupov, Y-U-S-U-P-O-V. I feel like one of those kids. Chess, C-H-E-S-S, chess.
So they've all written Endgame's books.
No, calculation books. Books that talking about thinking process and calculations. In other words, the sort of books you look at the back of it and you go, shit, that's difficult, throw it away. Okay? They're the people that really can do you the most for your chess, in the short and the long run. Much more better than an opening book. Much better even than an Endgame theory book. Because these books are teaching you
Nuns books?
Sorry?
Nuns books.
Yeah, well, if you like working through heavy analysis, that's great, but it's much better if you're doing the heavy analysis rather than looking at it.
Okay.
And these books are all about exercises that are making you think, rather than someone who's feeding